Hi, it's Norman Kochnick here from Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. I'm here once again with Preity Upala, who's been a lot on lately. We've actually just been on with the broadcast back to England and we're around the world about the Indian Test. Then about an hour later, we're in Antigua in the West Indies talking to Merv Richards and two lovely gentlemen. Now we're back to, or Bill, and back in Beverly Hills, it looks like. Are you Beverly Hills? Is that where you are, Preity?
Yes, we are. I'm at the Luxe Hotel, the very glamorous Luxe Hotel here in Beverly Hills. I change my scenery like I do my dresses, I suppose. I'm everywhere.
So the Luxe Hotel, and it's Beverly Hills again.
Yes.
And I'm back in my backyard in Coogee, so it's daylight and it won't go dark on me. So what's your take? What's your take on the test from last night? What's your take? There's been a lot of discussion about the pitch, but I'm really over that. What's your thoughts?
Yes. What a fantastic game. Can I just say that was maybe the most intense and dramatic game that I've ever seen maybe ever. I've never seen a team get all out in one session and then the other team also pretty much got out in the other session. If somebody was writing a Hollywood movie, it would be just like that. Like on that second day, there were three different events that took place, and then the game was done. So I loved it. I thought that the bowling was just fantastic. There were some very good batting performances, but I think it was great to see the crowd, almost 60,000 people at the largest stadium in the world. It looks grand, it looks spectacular, sounded amazing. I can't wait to be there in person one day. But you know, I think the lineup was questionable actually for both teams, and people weren't sure why India, went with the three spinners, and England went, what was it, the four quick bowlers, and or the three quick, I should say.
Great.
And but I think look, at the end of the day, Kohli actually picked the right team. He got it right, and whether it was intuition or strategy, foresight, I don't know, but he really did pick the right lineup, the right makeup, and it worked for him. And despite losing the toss, I beg your pardon, it didn't matter in the end because I think the boys delivered when they needed to. Batting wasn't fantastic from either team, but I don't think this was a batting pitch. And I think the Indian team came together when they needed to. And you could see the third session on the second day. It was looking beautiful. It was looking like a very good run scoring pitch suddenly. And one could only wonder if the game went on for another day, maybe a lot more runs would have been made. But you can blame England for that because, look, they started the game, they got out way too quickly and pushed everything sort of forward. So if English fans are upset, they only have themselves to blame.
Absolutely. It was very interesting to hear Rohit Sharma talk after the match in his press conference. And it was very clear what he said. It's as clear as the way he bats. You've got to show intent out there. You've got to show that you are in control of the batting and therefore not allow the bowling to dictate terms to you, which means don't get settled in the crease. Be willing and more motivated to leave the crease, reach the pitch the ball, look to score runs with intent, not look there to defend or survive, because those that try to survive got out. In fact, all of the batters either played back, even the Indian batters did that when they were more defensive. They played back and were bowled very quickly by, quite frankly, straight balls. In fact, Rohit Sharma made it very clear that there was no great turn. There was more turn in Chennai than there was in Ahmedabad. But yet Ahmedabad looked like it was turning more, but in fact it wasn't. Most of the deliveries were straight deliveries. That the batsmen did not compensate for a straight delivery. They kept it accurate, and some balls were lower than others, but it was all about intent. Look to score runs off every ball rather than defend or survive, and that was the key. Every batter that tried to survive perished. As simple as that. And that's a technique. If Rohit Sharma makes it clear, I mean, he is a great batsman, but the intent is what you need to have. And quite frankly, didn't. Crawley had intent, and look what he did. It was amazing. So
Yes, they did, and I think that they just mentally were more positive. They just had the right attitude, the right mindset to win. I think they came to win. This is a very, very crucial game, and now England is officially out of the Test Championship final thanks to India's performance. India's almost there. I think just maybe one step away. And I think in when both the captains were interviewed post game, both of them, uh, were sort of very in no uncertain terms did they say that it's not about the pitch, it's about our teams performing when they needed to. And I think Root was very honest and straightforward when he said that they just didn't come up with the goods. India was the better side. They outplayed them, outlasted them. Uh, most likely, obviously, deserved to win. Um, I mean, you don't want teams to feel like anything was unfair, but I honestly don't think this pitch was unfair at all. If anything, I feel like it was a bit courteous to the guests. I feel like this was not the perfect pitch for. It wasn't the India, like maybe the Chennai was more suitable to Indian conditions than this one. One could almost say that it was very fair, I would say, to both
it's
teams. Look, life is not black and white. I mean, you get your cards and you have to play them, and it's how you play them, and that dictates whether you win in life or not. And we see it in sports, and we see it in real life too. But this was a great example again of a very good intent by also the bowlers, and you don't need the whole an army for it. You just needed two excellent bowlers that did the job for India, and magnificent. I mean, Ashwin got his 400th wicket. There was a commentator that said that he's pretty sure Ashwin will play for another 4 years. That's that's amazing if that's the mindset of I guess the selectors management, or just the Indian perspective on Ashwin, and wanting him to stay on for as long as he can, and that he's fit enough to do it. And of course, the star of the show was Akshar Patel, who took, I think, 18 in all so far, and 11 in this test alone. And he was magnificent. Again, a local boy. So I'm very, very happy that he got to have his debut on his, I guess his home ground, so to speak. It's always, it's like a different level of joy, I think, when you play at home, and if that's how you started or ended your career, or end your career rather, it's always extra special. And I think he got a fantastic debut. He delivered. He more than delivered. I see big things for him. I think he could be a great replacement for Jadeja. He could also come into his own, and I'd like to see him maybe across a few formats too. He's young enough to do it. But I just think India should be so proud of themselves, despite everything that's going on in the world and on Twitter. And there's people will talk. There may be all kinds of excuses. I see a lot of excuses. Second test, the excuse was the pitch. A third test, the excuse was the umpiring, and then things of that nature. I mean, you just have to chuckle, I think, and just really marvel at beautiful cricket being played. And I truly think that the right team won.
absolutely. Now just a point on, again, the likes of Rohit Sharma made it very clear about the intent. Root was quite adamant that England were beaten by a better side. The reality is, India only scored 145 in their first innings. Now that, in most scheme of things, is an awful total. It's a shock of a total. It's actually particularly bad. The very fact that they're saying that India batted well and England didn't is not even really fully true. That the reality was 145 in the first innings was a fairly ordinary score. In fact, I was a bit shocked or disappointed that they didn't get more runs in that second innings and really ran home the advantage. So, yeah, you'd have to argue that it was a level playing field. Admittedly, they got none for 49 in the second innings, but that second innings was only 100. Sorry, the first innings was only 145. only some 33 runs ahead of what England scores. That wasn't overwhelming, but England capitulated and all out for 81, which was disgraceful. And just the mindset of Bairstow when he went out there. And the first three batters, and that's where it was crucial, they got out very cheaply. Sibley hung around a little bit, but the reality is that the first ball of the innings that was dismissed. Now, I know it actually is in defence of that batter. It is very hard to come out first ball and be ready. You're at your most vulnerable at a particular moment. Your mind's not set. But the reality is the bowling was certainly set, weren't they? Aksa Patel was on point immediately, and they're on the back foot so quickly. And when you're a batter coming in the subsequent positions in the order, you begin to really fear what's going to happen, because if people are tumbling that quickly in front of you, you are not set mentally to be out there, and you're out there prematurely. And it's a very difficult thing to go out at the bat. Now, Root and I think Sibley they handled it for a fair while. They got their act together a bit, but then it just seems to return. I mean, Ashwin was in his own element, but Aksa Patel set the whole thing up. It was quite impressive. And another point, they were talking earlier about Ishant Sharma. Well, not only Ishant, the fast bowlers, and the fact that they were saying that they weren't used much. Don't forget, the very first wicket of Feldman's Test match was a bowl delivery from Ishant Sharma. He got Sibley out second slip. So this wasn't all together spin. There was a place for the pace bowlers as well. But you need a fit person. Bulmer was not fit. You would argue that Broad looks a bit out of touch as well. He was barely used. So I think England are going with Dominic Best in the next test. They may well change another bowler. And in particular, they may bring Jofra Archer out and bring Wood in if he's fit. They need someone of that calibre. Yeah, so it's very, very interesting. That was a magnificent test, great result. Our 12,000 plus viewers last night proved that. Well, in fact, it wasn't last night; it was this morning, my time. But whatever, the time was weird for me. Let's just hope that you and actually quickly show us your backdrop now. We've talked enough about India. Now, what's your backdrop over your left shoulder?
So this is the beautiful garden patio, I guess, for the Luxe Hotel. I have been invited for, I think, the first post-COVID Hollywood gifting suite. And normally they have a huge sort of cocktail party with, open bar and hors d'oeuvres and waiters bringing you everything. And all these top brands are there, and you get invited, and they give you a lot of swag. And this time there was none of that. It was all actually outdoor, and it was almost like a drive-in gifting suite. But I know the publicist very well, and she sort of was very kind to me, and kind of gave me a very intimate tour and all of that. And she she's sending me home with a lot of goodies. I checked them at the coat check, and I'll put up a picture of my buggy that took me up to this event and brought me down with my goodies. So that's all. I think people will get a kick out of that. But to go back to the game, yes, the fast bowlers, we didn't need them in a way, and I think just the other two spinners did all of the work. Now the fourth test would be interesting. I think people forget one important thing, that this is really a virgin ground in many ways post renovation. And yes, they played in 2012, I believe, but it's almost 10 years ago. And this is a different pitch now, different stadium, to be honest. And after several matches will be played, things will get normalized. And also the beautiful thing is that it looks like a very versatile pitch. I think you can make it as dry as you want. You can make it turn. You can make it as green as you want as well. So it's like a designer's dream in a way. A curator's dream, I should say. And I'm sure there will be many matches that will try different things, and just to get that, I guess, the right formula or so on. But I expect to see a lot of cricket being played here, considering it being the grandest and the largest stadium in the world. I think Gujarat Cricket Association is going to get a big prop up by the BCCI. And this stadium and club might become the hub of international cricket in some way. I feel it, I think this is like the future of cricket. And I'm happy that it's happening in India. And I'm happy that it's happening in Gujarat, of all places, a place where people are crazy about the cricket and they really cherish tradition of it and a lot of home support. And I think it was built in the right place for sure. So
Okay.
I'm excited about the future of Test cricket.
And so am I. Just take the camera away from you a bit, move it more away from your face. I want to see a fuller view. That's fantastic. That's a really good backdrop there. So thank you, Preity. We've had another great session. This has gone wonderfully well. So I'll be talking to you soon. We'll be hopefully getting together about both the West Indies situation. You let me know and we'll talk about that. We'll go into some detail about my experiences in the West Indies with the likes of Mervyn Richards. So this is Norman Kochnick for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. Preity with her great backdrop as always, and mine's not too shabby as well. We'll be able to talk more.
Namaste, Norman. Thank you for having me,
Namaste.
as always, and namaste to your wonderful audience.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you.